Hi Brian, thanks for the footage and apologies once again for the delay in getting this lesson across to you. A rather manic period since you sent the footage across. So anyway, first chance I've had to sit down and look at it, keeping along the lines of being as simple as possible like in previous sessions. What I've done is put a box around your head from face on, and I've put some sort of lines on the screen, as you can see there, from down the line to illustrate your inclination to the ground, which is this line here, and the fact that the hips and the shoulders should turn on a tilted angle at approximately 90 degrees to that during the course of the backswing. And I've illustrated some lines on the left knee to try and get a point across as to why you can't do that at the moment. Little tweaks that I'd make at setup, particularly with driver, I would be looking at positioning the ball nearer to the centre of the left shoulder. We've got the ball substantially back in the stance for a driver, which is giving you too much of a descending blow. That's all things being equal. You'll see that during your downswing you make a little bit of a compensation for that. I'm just going to leave those lines on the screen. So I'd put the ball forward in the stance a little, and the other thing I would do is I would just lower the handle so that the shaft sits pointing on the belt line as opposed to as high as it's sitting at the moment. Reasons for that will become a little bit clearer again as this lesson progresses. So if you take a little look at the first move away from the ball, left shoulder working down, okay at that point, not too bad. If we look at it from down the line, club starts to roll behind us a little bit. Now one of the reasons for that is because those wrists are too high at address, so consequently the back of the left hand starts to roll a little bit too soon, pushing the club under plane. So that's one issue that we've got. Left knee at that point is flexing forward as it's moving inwards. So you can see here there's a little bit of movement towards the ball to target line with the knee. There's also a little bit of movement in behind the ball, if you will, with the knee. So the knee's working nicely at that point. It's flexing forward and moving inwards, which is fine. You can also start to see here in the early part of the takeaway that the shoulders are already beginning to level out, so they're not really working downward enough, which means as your swing progresses your head's going to lift up towards the end of your swing, and you can see as the head lifts the left knee starts to work in behind the ball but doesn't continue to flex forward towards the target line. So as a result you're pushed up, so the head's raising, the shoulders are flattening, and the swing's getting shifted more and more to the right. During the downswing, because of how far back the ball is in the stance, the head's got to drop back a little bit to try and shallow out the angle of attack. And because of how the club rolled in the takeaway, the swing is directed out too much, creating a very high rate of closure on the club face. So the problem we've got is we've got an axis that's moving around, so the head's not staying still. We've got a club that's being flung at the golf ball, so it's either going to be too open at impact or it's going to close down rapidly at impact, and as a result we've got quite an inconsistent ball flight. So going back to the setup, what we want to try and do here now is we want to play the ball nearer to the centre of the left shoulder, illustrated by the red arrow. This will shallow out the angle of descent into the golf ball. We also need to lower the handle of the club so that it sits on an angle that would point at the belt buckle rather than severely above the belt buckle. So lower the handle, so you've got ball forward, handle down. That would also give you a little bit better posture, a little bit more forward tilt here, and it would also make it easier to get the left shoulder to work down for longer. So they're the changes I'd like to see you make. Ball forward, handle down, and then from there try and feel like the left knee is flexing forward towards the ball to target line continuously during your backswing. If you have any questions, feel free to email me across. I'm sure you'll have some feedback after your first couple of sessions with that. But again, just to recap on the key points: ball forward, handle down, more flexing of the left knee during the backswing, flexing towards the target line, not in behind the ball too much. That pretty much takes care of itself. If you can add those pieces into the setup and the swing, you're going to see a marked difference in the way the shoulders turn. They will turn in a more tilted angle. You're also going to see a much more stable axis, if you will. You're going to keep the head within that box, and the shots should, once the hands calm down, start to take up a much more consistent line. Good luck with it, and as I say, if you have any questions, feel free to drop me a line.